Good evening, good evening. It's been a pretty good news week, so let's just get right into it. So the first thing that happened this week, they finally announced a retro bang list update, and sort of to everyone's surprise, I think a lot of people thought they might just hit Twisting Azure Inferno and call it a day. They actually unbanned things instead. So they unbanned the two Fort Hanses characters, Goro Shiva, as well as a few older cards that were kind of banned for reasons that weren't strictly power level related per se, maybe had some rules things. They also unbanned Bang. And sort of their idea with this is they really want to limit test this format. They want to see how many cards are like the most they can get away with allowing. It's a bit of a strange first pick of the first cards to allow because Goro would seem pretty up there on the on the list of busted characters that they've printed, but I guess they're just firing one of the bigger shots first, I guess. So we'll see how that works out. The Goro deck that was running around the Retro series was pretty toxic, and I don't think anything has really changed that, but if you're not familiar, long story short, and it is missing a couple of cards that it did have back at that time, but it was pretty much just plays everything with the words draw a card on it that it can. I believe the all symbol, there might be a fire build of it too. Or even Earth, I don't even know. But, and so, you pick up 4 attacks that all draw cards, you'll probably draw into a couple other attacks, you play a bunch of foundations that don't count as progressive or that also draw cards in some way, and you're basically just daring them to deal 40 while you play 4, 5, 8 damage attacks every turn until they die, right? It wasn't very cool. I don't know how many people are going to be replicating that actually, right? Or if people are just going to want to try to play their cool thing, whatever degenerate or just really funny thing they've come up with, right? But be ready for that. And when they say that they want to keep having retro events, keep having retro side events, and keep iterating on this ban list as they go, including unbanning more things. So we finally have that, a few weeks away from these events showing up at Nationals, and we'll see how that goes. They also showed off the Nationals playmats. They look very nice. The participation playmat has some of the art from the participation promos, as is sort of the norm. And they're back to having contender mats. We have a contender mat with the silver rejuvenating smash art, and of course the champion golden rejuvenating smash mat. Look pretty good. You can find them on the Nationals prize post. So, go check that out, link in the description. They also announced more Nationals news. They're going to have, at the US Nationals, going to have the voice actor for Mirio. The English voice actor for Mirio is going to be there doing some signings. No post about how much it's going to cost, but it's probably going to be $40, $50. That's what they seem to usually be. So if you're interested in that, bring some cool Mirio cards that you have, or maybe go out and get some XRs or whatever you want them to sign. They also kind of quietly, they haven't talked about this too much. They're going to have colossal cards, they call them, which I guess they're going to be giant cards, right? And they say they're going to have 17 of them at each Nationals, and it sounds like they're basically going to be raffled off. And the art on these cards, according to the post, is going to be the Jetburn alt art characters. Either there's 17 of them, so it's probably exactly the 17 Jetburn characters in their alt art versions, but it could be, just 17 assorted alt arts. We know they said that the alt art characters in this set are going to go back to some prior sets as well, so I don't quite know exactly which ones, but seemingly if you just play in the event, you might have a chance to win one of these things at a raffle. So maybe give a little bit of thought to how you're going to get those home. Probably a lot of people are just going to have to mail them, right? But be aware that you may end up winning a giant card at any of these nats. They say they're going to be at all 3 Nationals. These cards are going to be raffled off. So coming up a week from now, we should get to see what some of these alt arts look like, right? So that's going to be pretty cool. In addition to all the national stuff, they also did a big, coming down the pipeline in 2024 post, some early information about what to expect next year. First and foremost, very importantly, we got some initial details about the HLC. Notably, it is HLC branded. We weren't sure if they were going to just try to move off of the My Hero branding for this event and try to move it to Universus Worlds or something like that. They are still calling it the Hero League Championship, so presumably going to be MHA only format. It sounds like the Challenger decks won't be a part of this. If that's any indication. Probably the last MHA CCG branded event, I'd have to guess, before they just move on to everything's Universus. But anyway, it's the first weekend of February 2nd through 4th. It's going to be in Orlando, not Las Vegas. It's going to be at a resort in Orlando, which Probably nicer than Alexis Park, realistically. Just from like the couple pictures I've looked at. So if you're interested in going to that, you can book your travel now, but be aware that if you qualify for the HLC, they might want you there on the Thursday. So when you're planning this out, either, make sure you get stuff that's refundable, or maybe wait until after Nationals to book your exact days. Also, if you qualify, they might book your travel for you. We don't quite know if that's happening again or not. It might at least happen for the overseas people, right? But just be mindful of that. Last year they wanted all the HLC participants there on Thursday so they could record all these little 5-minute interview videos. So assuming that happens again, don't completely lock yourself into exactly Friday through Sunday if you think there's a chance that you're going to qualify. We also found out about the first couple booster sets of 2024. The first one is going to be, as expected, a different IP. It is going to be the Yu Yu Hakusho Dark Tournament set. Boomers in this game have been waiting for this set for a very long time, right? When the first Yu Yu Hakusho set came out, they had heavily hinted that they planned to do the second one. Never really came to fruition. COVID happened, MHA came out. They're finally getting back to that, and it's a pretty popular IP, albeit an older one. Certainly among that age of shonen anime, there's the Dark Tournament in particular. That arc is very well known and beloved, so they're going to try and do booster set for it. It's not going to be in big box stores. It's going to be local stores only. Probably the big box stores didn't really care about Yu Yu Hakusho. Makes sense, right? But so that will come out. That's going to be the first set of 2024. It sounds like if they keep to their 4-month-ish schedule, we're probably talking mid to late March for this. So that's something to look forward to next year. And then at some point later next year, they have announced that they intend to do a 7th MHA set. Whether that's the next set after Yu Yu Hakusho or somewhat further down the road, not quite sure, right? They could always have another IP that they're waiting to announce that's going to come after Yu Yu, but probably it's going to be the set after Dark Tournament, if one had to assume, but again, not locked in or anything like that. We also got a release date for the Challenger decks. It is going to be January 19th. This is a little bit later. They had earlier said that they wanted these to come out this year, but it is going to be early next year instead. And we got to see updated looks at the character cards from their Gen Con versions, and in particular, we have their symbols now. And this is keying me off on a whole speculation bit. So one thing that some people have noticed about the symbols on these characters is that Vash has All Death Life, and Spike has Earth Water Life. Notably, they share a symbol, which is weird, right? Every time they've done pairs of precons or starters or whatever before this, they've covered 6 symbols. My speculation, there's no proof of this whatsoever, to be clear, right? I am merely speculating because this is something I've had swimming in my head for a while, that you can do this in this game. I'm guessing that Vash and Wolfwood, the other character in the Vash starter, will share exactly one symbol, and it will not be life. It will be, I bet it will be death or all. Well, it would have to be, right? And then Wolfwood will also have one of the symbols that's on Spike. And then Faye will share a symbol with Spike, have a symbol that's on Spike, and then her other 2 symbols will be one of Vash's symbols and one of Wolfwood's. And the idea here is that you have these 4 separate character kits, right, that comprise these 2 decks, and you would then be able to mix and match them any way you want, kind of like a smash-up kind of thing, where you pick any 2 characters, take all the cards with their face on it, shuffle them together, and you have a 60-card deck, and you shuffle the rest together, and you also have a 60-card deck, and they're each playable. They each share some symbol. If all the 4 characters cross symbols like this, which is doable, and you'd cover, I believe it is still a grand total of 6 symbols with the 2 decks, if I have my math right. So I'm hoping that is the case, that's where this is going, because it sort of follows from Vash and Spike sharing a symbol. That means you could take the Vash cards and the Spike cards and shuffle them up and have a deck, right? So they might as well do that for the rest of them, I would think. The other weird thing about this is the 21 numbering. So this Vash is character 1 out of 21, which implies that either A, Vash and Wolfwood do not have an equal number of cards, right? Vash is 1, Wolfwood is 2, and then one of them has 10 cards, the other has 9. Or each of the IPs has a 21st card, which I guess would be a 3rd character. Like, they could put a 3rd character in the collector's packs if they wanted to, right? That's something they could certainly do. And if this is the only time they're going to visit those licenses, that would make some sense, right? You're going to have a Trigun license and not have knives, right? They could totally do that, right? They could, for the Bebop, it could be Jet, could be Vicious, something like that, right? So it's possible that we will see a third character in these. Again, all speculation, just based on the little information we got from seeing the bottoms of these cards with their symbols and their numbers. I just want to get into that because it's pretty exciting. You could imagine they could actually have at the HLC, right, as one of the side events for the people that aren't in the HLC, they could have a Challenger deck tournament where you're expected to bring a deck that's just pick what pairing you want, because there's 6 different pairs that you can make, and each pair would have 2 different characters, so you'd actually have 12 different decks that you could play at an event that's just using those Challenger decks, right? So that would be pretty exciting, especially, for people that just want to buy the box and play it as like almost a little bit of LCG type of experience. They'd be able to do that. So I hope that's what's going on. I may be setting my sights way too high here, and maybe this is just sort of a weird coincidence for some reason, but very, very interesting. There's a lot you can read into just looking at the symbols of these guys. Yeah, with that wild speculation out of the way, I just kind of wanted to get into that because we did get to see the symbols and it came to mind, but yeah, lots of news. There's still plenty of stuff we're waiting on, right? We're still, very importantly, waiting to hear if there's going to be any organized play in the intervening months, right? Between October 22nd and February 2nd, there's currently nothing on the calendar. We're assuming / hoping that we'll at least have some provisional store championships with, maybe no invite attached or anything like that, but still some promos or something like that. At least that, if not something more. So we'll see if anything comes out of that. But in the meantime, Vegas RLE this weekend, then the UK Nats, and then the Oceania Nats, and then the US Nats. So busy weekend for organized play and, competitive and people getting their invites to the HLC. So looking forward to that, and I'll see you next time.